Here you go.
I'll start over. Good morning.
There you go.
This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of New Canaan for Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, 8:31 a.m. We're getting started. First, before we start, we have an agenda item to add. That is the Waveney Water Tower Turf Field 1 Bleacher Ramp Modification 2023. I have a motion. I move we add this item.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Minutes of our last meeting. Any comments or corrections?
None. None here.
I move we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments may be, since this is a hybrid meeting. Do we have anybody on by Zoom? Nobody on by Zoom? But anybody wants to join us by Zoom, you can submit comments electronically to bosdistribution@buchananct.gov, and we'll read them before the end of the meeting. John Howe, Light Tower Purchase. Are you doing this, Todd? Okay, good morning, Todd.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So the Parks Department is requesting approval to purchase 2 used vertical mast light towers from United Rentals out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. We purchased used ones from them in the past, had great success. We'll have the highway mechanics look over them before we purchase them. These light towers will be used for the Family Fourth, special events, and other emergencies around town if needed. The funds will come from the Family Fourth special project account, and there is enough funds to cover the cost of the light towers.
Where are we going to store these?
Up at Waveney, where the other 2 are stored right now, and our barn up at Waveney, we have room.
And what's the balance in the Family Force?
I don't know that offhand.
So we get the money.
Yeah, we have the money to
Okay,
purchase them.
thanks.
So we'll have our highway mechanics also look over them before we purchase them. So
We normally rent these, the extra ones. We have 2. We own 2.
we have 2. We've had a couple of the older ones, so we're looking to
Oh,
replace those.
replacing the older
Yes.
ones. Okay.
So but
Thank
we
you.
have rented in the past.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought we were going to use the ones that ice hockey, the ice rink purchased.
We have those still too, but we want to purchase 2 more. So
Oh, so we're gonna have 6.
yes, they're used because you need the one for the ice rink, other events in town. So
Okay. Any other questions? I move we approve the request from Parks Department for the purchase of 2 used 447 vertical mast light towers from United Rentals in the amount of $11,900. Funds to be provided from the Family Force Special Projects account as described by Todd.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
thank you.
Parking permit renewals for business permits. Good morning, Stacy.
Morning.
I have one
I'm
correction to note. We say the current rate of $465.81. Technically, that includes sales tax.
Correct.
So our rate is
438,
$438.
2781 is the sales tax.
Balance is sales tax. So our rate is really okay, but if you would go ahead. Any questions on this item? Do you want to make, why don't you explain it first?
Okay, well, the parking commission is making a recommendation to keep the annual premium business permit at a cost of $465.81, base rate $438 with the $27.81 for the sales tax. The renewal period will start at the beginning of June, and it will be for the July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024 permit year. They are also recommending for us to continue with the free parking business permits in the Central Locust and Richmond Hill lot. The program is working out very well. The employees are embracing it. So hopefully you will approve that as well.
Thank you, Stacy. How many permits do we have on the business permits?
We're talking about the premium ones?
Premium ones. yes.
139.
139. Okay.
In Park Street and Morse Court?
Park Street, Morse Court, telephone lot. Telephone.
Telephone line.
Mhm. And how many are taking advantage of the employee business permits?
A total of 657 of those free permits, and that's spread out through Central Locust and the Richmond Hill. Yep.
They're occupied every 600 permit.
Not every
Okay,
day. So
okay,
it's a
just-
kind of, they're occupied,
I see.
but we don't have all 600 in at the same
A
time.
lot of restaurant workers come in
Yeah,
after
Oh,
this.
so
sure,
they're
yeah.
hourly and, but.
So they're
they-
actually assigned certain spots?
In the center school, there is an area now because of the library, so they're assigned a certain area, but they are not assigned a certain spot.
Okay, so there's no guarantee they might get a spot, or there's never been an
There's
issue?
never,
Okay,
well, there has not in the past been an issue with center school. We're running into a little bit right now. But we're hoping to work through that as soon as the library signs go up and people get more familiar with it.
sure.
but
But
those-
it's
but-
not really a guarantee, but we haven't had an issue.
But we've told them they can go to Richmond Hill Live.
Yes, so if there is, and it's only during a certain period of time, a certain day of the week. So it's not a consistent problem, but they are allowed to move to Locust and or Richmond Hill should
Mhm.
they run into this issue.
Mhm.
So it's, like I said, it's just a certain period of time.
Right.
So we're good.
Also, this includes owner employees, which I didn't realize, but
What was that? Sorry?
it includes owner employees. People who own their business are considered employees. So
Stacy, while we have you,
Mhm.
what's the percentage of occupancy of the lumberyard and the associated commuter lots today?
Busy days, we're looking at the lumberyard 2/3 full with our commuters. Talmadge Hill, we're talking about the first 2 tiers full on our busy days, and as we're going over the tracks, 3rd, 4th tier, about half full. So again, I would say the whole lot, about 2/3 full as well.
2/3 as opposed to prior to COVID being 100%
Lumberyard,
plus.
pretty much
Yeah.
full 100%, and Talmadge. I won't say Talmadge was ever 100% because of the fact that we don't have a wait list.
Have you seen an uptick in the last 6 months?
Slightly.
Because
but
it
not
seems
as
like people are
much as
going
I would-
back. Right.
Not as much as I anticipated, which is confusing to me.
So
know-
this is the new normal?
To me, right now, that's what it seems like.
Okay.
Yes, and we are consistently calling people or making notifications, shall I say. It just did about 51 off of the lumberyard. Right now, only 12 grabbed it, so I'm not sure. It's-
yeah, two more things to mention there. By the end of the summer, the Board of Ed and the business tenants at 220 Elm will be there. That's going to take up 60 spaces. And also, we just went out with a parking survey to commuters. Did it go out yet?
Not yet. We're working on it.
And
Should be by the end.
trying to figure out what to do, given the fact that Metro North will not run for June, July, and August. And so a lot of work being done there.
Mhm.
Any further questions? I move we approve this request from the Parking Commission that the annual premium business permit fee remain unchanged at the current rate. And I'd like to have this say 438 plus tax, which is 465.81 for the upcoming renewal period on July 1 for the ensuing fiscal year. Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, Stace. Joe Zagorensky and Tiger Man. You coming up, Tiger? You got a bunch of items.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm here on behalf of the Police Department Building Committee to request authorization to enter into a professional service contract with Innovative Engineering Services for commissioning of the project. I'll give you a brief overview. The commissioning agent is basically a third party that represents the best interests of the town, ensuring all the building's array of systems are installed and tested and perform as the design intended. So they basically take the building, all the controls points, and take the building for a test drive and make sure everything functions as it should. Checks all the safeties, checks all the flows and make sure everything works. Why this is important is the police building. It's a police building, and to get back into the police building is very difficult. So we want to make sure that, going through the seasonal change, that we're not going to have any problems with any of the systems. So right now, we're just going to release them on the first phase of the project, which is basically setting up the specifications, reviewing the drawings, and getting everything get everything bid documents ready so that it can go out to bid. And then the second phase would be for construction, occupancy, and the warranty phase. So we don't have funding for that in place yet, so I was going to release it in 2 phases. We do have money for pre-construction, the pre-construction phase. The funding is available for that.
Any questions?
Would we recommend this type of service for all kinds of construction, like things we're doing at 220 Elm or the Playhouse? Or I don't believe we had that. for
No, I
Town
don't think
Hall.
so. I don't know that it's required for those. It's more because it's a pretty complicated building
Sure.
system, and it's a larger project.
Yeah.
So it warrants having them
Yeah.
on this particular project. There is some certain commissioning that is done as part of those projects anyway by the design team, but this is just
This is a separate
people have all the-
independent, right?
expertise, the testing equipment and everything. So it's a third-party verification.
So,
Make sure it's.
you know, Kathleen brings up a point that I was going to bring up. Why didn't we do this for the Playhouse, which is 100% over budget?
So I can't really speak to why it wasn't done for the Playhouse, but I don't know that it would be, I don't think it would have helped with the budget of the Playhouse at all. It's more.
What are we doing
make
with
sure
the
that-
police, the new police station, to avoid the overruns that we've got in the Playhouse? I guess
So
that's my
we
point.
have, it's a little bit of a different process. We've hired a construction manager. We're.
So this is
performing
not design and
additional
build?
budgets.
Is that correct?
No, it is not design build. No. So basically everything that I've released so far has been for the design phase. And then we'll establish a GMP. The GMP will be the overall, cost of the construction of the project, and that will be after we have bids in July. So it's just we're going through it at a different process. Takes much more time, but it's a different process.
It takes more time, but it might save money. Or Tiger, not?
Sorry, the commissioning agent for this is totally different. This is just a systems analyst after the systems are installed. The 2 projects are night and day.
Tiger, you need the microphone.
Sorry, the 2 projects themselves are completely night and day separate from each other as far as the actual work and the process thereof. So we're working through the Playhouse at present, but the Playhouse is a completely separate animal as far as a project wise from the police department.
So I was in the Playhouse last Thursday with Billy Osman, and I understand that work was done in 1982 to turn one theater into 2 theaters, right? And there was no permitting at the time, 1982. That's what Bill told me.
I don't know that, we didn't own the building. In
Right.
1982, I was.
That's what he said.
in high school.
And that's why we had to remove 30 tons of concrete, apparently.
Yeah,
All right.
there was an overburden on the second floor. Yeah, and then even with that 30 tons being removed, we still have to support the second floor based upon the fact that it'll have a live load occupancy, given the fact that it's changing from an office space to an assembly area. And then
It wasn't even office space in 1982.
might not have been, I don't know what it was. Like I said, I was in high school.
So I guess my point is, how do we avoid the lack of knowledge that we had with respect to the Playhouse to the police department former school? In terms of costs, guys, because we're way over budget in the Playhouse.
So the police department.
That's a fair question, because quite honestly, there's going to be quite a bit of demolition
Yeah.
in the inside the police department. So we don't think we're going to have
Thank you,
that many
Kevin.
surprises, but
We don't think we have that many surprises because the floors have already been renovated in the past. So I think, and we did some exploratory work. So, and we have really good plans on their historic plans of the
Because
renovation.
if we miss on the police department, it's going to be a much bigger number than on the Playhouse. That's my concern.
If anything,
Also have a healthy
we're learning.
contingency.
Yeah, renovating old buildings is always more expensive. The high school cost us $92 million. We could have built a new high school for 75 million. So like Darien did. So
The high school started off at a $36 million estimate.
Well, I think the challenge with that would be the swing space too. Like, what do you do when you have, I don't know what they did in Darien, but
well, the high school would be where the track is now, and parking lot would be where the high school is. So you had options. But you think, and I'm a little confused as to why we're doing this contract now, but you want them to look at the design of drawings as they come into the project.
so the $7,500 basically covers for them to review the drawings, put their specifications together, because there is some testing procedures that need to be bought from the trade contractors when it goes out. They will oversee that process.
Okay, any further questions? I'll move that we approve this request from Public Works and the Police Department Building Committee to enter into a phased professional services contract with the innovative. Is that a capital I?
Yes.
Yeah. should-
With Innovative Engineering Services LLC in the amount of $7,500 for the design phase and $29,000 for the construction and occupancy of warranty phase, for a total of $36,500 as described by Joe and Tiger.
Second here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have an elevator. The elevator will remain. And we're going to add an elevator in the new part of the police department,
Just one elevator.
just one elevator. So this elevator has to remain in service.
Yeah, so this elevator is scheduled to remain. There was this is an upgrade to the driver. The driver is not functioning properly now, so we'd like to replace that as part of the project. We would have replaced it anyway. It's outdated from a software standpoint, and this one will work smoother and give us, we're expecting the elevator to give us another 15, 20 years of service. So
Questions about the driver? I move that we approve this request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Cone Elevator Inc. in the amount of $16,955 in order to install a new drive for the passenger elevator at PD, as described by Joe. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
This next item is an approval of a contract with the Institute for Human Centered Design to perform a new self-evaluation and transition plan. The Americans with Disabilities Act guidelines specifically note that each municipality should perform a self-evaluation and develop a transition plan. We had done one in 1994. My predecessor, Frank Denicola, did it in 2009. We did another one in-house with our ADA compliance committee. And given the fact that now we're 15 years past that time frame, we went out for an RFP. The Institute for Human Centered Design answered it. They came back with a price of $64,450. I added a 10% contingency, or a 15% contingency of $10,550 for a total of $75,000. The Institute has done fantastic work with us. They were the first people I called when we received our letter of notice from the Department of Justice. I contacted Valerie Fletcher. She's the executive director. She's on right now for us if you have any questions with her. And they were integral through that. We've been discussing the Playhouse project, 220 Elm Street, the police department, other projects that we have ongoing. She's been our go-to consultant. And we recommend going forward with this project, with this self-evaluation and transition plan.
Tiger, big picture, what are the expectations of DOJ with respect to our getting into compliance with ADA?
They have
Timing and cost. Thank you.
they gave us their initial site report. We're still working through that with them as far as what the final outcome of that site report will be. There were various items on it.
When you say we are working with them, who is we have lawyers involved?
Yes, we have yeah.
And who else?
Should this be an executive session discussion as you did with the town council? I mean,
And that's fine, Cap. I
yeah, we
mean,
can schedule that for
It
2 weeks.
might be best, yeah, it might be best to have
That,
that.
that might
discussion.
be, something we should do. Yeah.
I can certainly, bring you up to speed as to where we are in the negotiations, but they are still in negotiation at present with the Department of Justice. Some items that we're aware of, we've been taking care of as we go, so we're hoping that that shows a positive impact or a positive response to the DOJ saying that we're aware of your concerns. We have an item on this agenda that you just added, which was part of that. And one of the things with this self-evaluation and transition plan is that the majority of settlements that come down from the DOJ recommend or require that there'll be another self-evaluation and transition plan be performed. I'd rather be ahead of that. So that's one of the reasons why we went out for the RFP, and we'd like to hire the Institute to help us with that process. So when we go back to the DOJ, we say, well, we have them on board, they're contracted, and when we go forward after our settlement, and if this is one of the settlement items, we've already taken care of it or addressed it, shows a positive response.
Can I
to their
suggest
concerns.
we have Nick Belmonte come back in 2 weeks and do an executive session as you did with the town council?
That's fine. We can have Valerie join us as well. If you,
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Is it Valerie?
Valerie Fletcher. Yeah.
So did Valerie work? Can I ask Valerie, did you work on the Westport Justice Department?
No,
Okay, so
however, it might be worth noting that we run one of the 10 ADA centers in the country, federally funded. We run the New England ADA Center. They don't do this kind of work, but I think our credentials are good. We've also had 2 of our staff move on to work directly for the ADA section at Justice, and one of our staff we got from the ADA section at Justice. So I think we're comfortably connected there. I was also present for the review in New Canaan when DOJ came and walked through all of the areas that were being reviewed.
yeah, and I think Tiger, didn't they compliment us on a lot of our
Yes, they did.
Can I just ask a question? And I look forward to the discussion in 2 weeks, but Valerie, just give us a sense of your timing for when would both the self-evaluation and the transition plan, does that take how many months or weeks?
We would begin in July.
Okay.
Largely because we are working on a number of similar projects in the state of Massachusetts, and they all have to be finished June 30th. So we don't want to compromise those commitments, and so would begin later in the summer.
And then what would you, thank you. And how would you recommend, how often would a town like ours go through a self-evaluation? I think it's been, 15 years or something since the last one. Is this something that we should do? How often?
Well, we organize them a little differently than they have often been done. So we organize a very detailed package with extraordinary detail about each building and outdoor property, about all your policies and procedures, and then provide planning and budgeting document that is prioritized over a period of approximately 5 years, so that you then fill that in. One could extend that without having to redo it. Most of the IDEA transition plans that we've analyzed that were done internally don't really have that capacity to have that level of detail. We actually just did a 4-hour webinar last week, a national webinar on ADA transition plans, and had 5 of the municipalities we've worked with in recent years really talk about their experience, partly because it's such an intimidating process. We wanted people to feel like there was real value and people could do it and feel like it made a difference in their communities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
we'll schedule this in 2 weeks with Nick. And any further questions about now, technically, we don't have this money until July 1st. Is that why we're?
No, we have this money available now. It's in the current budget.
Okay. Question? I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with the Institute for Human-Centered Design as described by Valerie in the amount of $64,450 plus a 15% contingency for a total potential project cost of $75,000. The project entails a self-evaluation and the development of a transition plan as per the ADA guidelines. Second.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Valerie, for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Valerie. This next item is a continuation of an agreement with New England Paving in the amount of $100,000 for our localized repairs. They've been performing excellent work for us since 2008. There's a substantial cost savings by performing on a time and material basis. They've done excellent work. We've never had a complaint on one issue or one item that they've addressed for us since that time. We'd like to continue the agreement. The funds are currently available in our pavement management program.
Questions?
Tiger, you and I chatted about this. Are there other providers that would also do something similar on a time and materials basis? And have we evaluated
They
there?
would, I don't know if they would be as good. We can certainly go back out and look. In order to do that, I'd have to go back out and bid. Last time we bid, they were the low bid. They've been a low bid on other municipal projects throughout, not just for us, but for others. We could certainly look at that, but when I did a cost analysis based upon a bid form versus a time and material, the time and material took out all the guesswork. Since they're moving from place to place to place throughout town, there's a lot of guesswork involved in mobilization and moving their crews around. On a time and material basis, that guesswork goes away. So all that time that they built into their bid for, what the last thing you want is a contractor to, be uncomfortable or, have to guess at certain things. On a time and material basis, we get rid of that, because I'm paying them to move from one to the next. They don't have to estimate how long that's going to take them. And usually they overestimate because they don't want to underestimate. But we could certainly look at, going out to bid. Last time I did it, when I did the cost analysis, determined that we were saving substantial money on the dollar for going on a time and material basis.
How long ago did you estimate that?
I did that when we did it initially in 2011, and then I do it periodically throughout. I grab a bunch of different areas where they've worked, see the exact product, see how much it was, and then base that on what we know our current pricing, and save money on that, or saw that we were saving money on it. So I've been doing it, throughout. Almost every year I grab a couple of different locations and see. So
Is this basically a potholes contract? I mean, we have
it's
work done the next few weeks. We're going to repair winter damage and stuff.
that's our highway department takes care of a lot of potholes. This is utility trench issues, curbing issues, some driveway aprons, things.
They
of that
just did the
nature.
Park Street entrance.
They just did the Park Street entrances. Yeah, they'll finish the last two today.
Why are they doing that?
What?
Why are they doing that?
Why are they doing that?
Park Street entrance.
Park Street, because it was
I drive it over it every day. I'm curious what.
turning in and out where the throat was too narrow. So we had them expand the throat.
Oh,
That-
those curbs, those granite curbs were too narrow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we had.
Caught my
so-
tires every
so we
day.
had those expanded out.
Yeah.
It's the reason why. So we had the throat expanded, and then the driveway apron had to be repaved.
Okay, now I get it. Anyway, they have old trucks though, so I think they must be. Where are they based?
They're based out of Norwalk, I believe. Those aren't new trucks. Those are used. new
No, I said they're
trucks.
old trucks.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So they must be economical.
yeah, very.
Anyway, the point is, and we've had this discussion yesterday about certain contractors that we use, such as Peter Lanny, where we get very good service and very good work done, and especially for small projects. So I think in terms of following the purchasing policy, we're doing good work here with this contractor. My view.
Thank you.
Further questions?
Not here.
I move we approve this request from Public Works to continue an agreement with New England Paving in the amount of $100,000 for localized road repairs as described by Tiger. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
This next is to continue a contract with Precise Traffic Control for various flagging services in town. They did this for us last year. They've been doing it for us continuing through that time. They provide flagging needs for when we're paving, sidewalk construction, tree removal, tree trimming, other areas that we have. They're able to supply us with certified flaggers at a very reasonable price. So we'd like to continue the agreement for $25,000. Last year, we spent approximately $35,000.
It's like, that's an annual fee, 25,000.
Well, we pay by the hour. So we pay, of the day, of the hour. So yeah, it's about, last year we spent around $35,000 on flagging.
So you're budgeting 25K for the
flagging
upcoming.
services.
This
yeah.
is cheaper than police.
Oh, you're much cheaper.
Yes. Yeah. The police department is charging us $70 an hour. Traffic
Why wouldn't
control.
we use these guys for kind of everything? To the
We
extent
tried
that
to
we
use them for
can,
every area.
as opposed to
that's-
the,
yeah, we tried to use them for every area that's not overly sensitive. And on the days that we're
define
paving,
overly sensitive,
center of town, major intersections.
where you believe it's imperative to have police as opposed to.
Exactly. And when we're paving, on the days that we're paving and on the days that we're milling and paving, those are the days that I have police come and
Right.
take care of it at that time. Also comes down to certain areas where we would want to have the officer there with his radio so that he's tiled into our emergency services, given if we have residents that are of,
So you'll still have the flaggers there, but you have a police officer on duty.
Yes, yeah, sometimes we sister the two,
Right.
policemen and flaggers. It's nice to have the officer there at times because of for those reasons that, for our direct tie into emergency services. God forbid there's a problem with a resident on the road, they're aware of it. They can, one, they can react, and two, we know that emergency services is on call and can get there quickly. So
Thank you.
we try to sister between the two services, between our
brother.
police and our flaggers,
Thank
to
you.
maximize the benefit.
I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into to extend a current contract with Precise Traffic Control in the amount of $25,000 to provide flagging services in town projects as necessary.
Second year.
All in favor? Aye. Crack
Uh,
seal.
This next one is a
Microton.
continuation of a contract with Indus or Seal Coating Incorporated. Excuse me, for $134,299 with a 15% contingency of $20,145 for a total of $154,444. They've been doing excellent work for us in the past. They had held their crack sealing price since 2017 at $1.71. This is the first year that they've actually asked for an increase up to $1.82 a pound, which is a 6.39% increase. But given the fact that they had held their price from 17 to 22 to 23, we felt it was the savings was there. They're working on a series of roads for us. For crack sealing is we have 56 separate roads or 65 segments that they'll be performing crack sealing on throughout town. And we'd like to continue the contract, this agreement with Indus for this work.
You want to talk about
I can talk about all
micro thin
three,
overlay
yeah.
and Cape Seal all together? And
Yes, that
is
would be.
is sidewalk materials also part of that?
No,
Okay.
no. The next is to continue a contract with them for the micro thin overlay of local roads. The contract is for $610,437 with a $91,566 contingency for a total of $702,003. This one is based off the Shelton bid from 2022 last year. Their unit price for that bid was $329.25, but they've offered us a revised price of $323.76. Given the fact that we were substantially low over the past couple of years because they had held their price since 2017. Last year, they made a price adjustment to 304. And then this year they're looking for another price adjustment to get to 323, but we're still below the standard that's in the area. So we felt it was a benefit to the town to continue this agreement with them for a reduced price than what we would see being bid elsewhere from last year. And then the last one is Cape Seal. This is a dual contract, one with Indus for $255,395. They'll put the micro thin overlay over the top of the chip seal. That'll be performed by Seymour Sealing Services Incorporated. That price is $118,121 with a 15% contingency for both at $56,027 for a total of $429,543. And again, the Indus's price is based off of the last year's price, a reduction off of last year's price from that bid. And Seymour is holding their Fairfield bid at $275 for us from 2022.
So how much of this is affected by the price of oil?
All of it.
So are we getting,
Everything's in oil price.
Oh.
What we have based on here is we have what's called an asphalt adjustment. So based upon what the project was bid at, the cost of asphalt at that point in time, if it goes up, we pay a portion. We'll pay the amount of oil that's in there at the price change. If the price of oil comes down, we'll see the exact same savings. So there's no guesswork from the contractor as far as guessing what the future would be. It's based upon what the oil price is at the time, set it from the New Haven yard at that time. The DOT puts out an entire spreadsheet, weekly pricing, so that you know every week what the price of the oil is. And then based upon the week that you put it out, that you lay the material down, that whether the difference up or down and the percentage of oil inside the mix there's a calculation that the DOT provides. And at that point in time, that it's either an adjusted price up or adjusted price down. If it goes up, it's carried underneath our contingency. If it goes down, we just, it's a savings to the project.
so when you say we're continuing these contracts, we have ongoing contracts with these contractors.
We had an ongoing contract through these past years, so we'd like to continue the agreement. Yeah.
So but they're new contracts for
The
this,
new contracts
for this year.
It can be written as a continuation or a new
Yeah.
contract, but since they were here from last year, we just wrote it as a continuation.
So these are maximum prices that we could expend on these projects. And
Excuse me?
these are maximum dollar amounts we could expend on these projects, but they're variable based upon individual projects.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to date, we haven't exceeded our contingency ever on a project from Indus or Seymour.
Okay, it is, okay. Any questions on these three and what,
How many various roads, quote unquote?
It's a great question. The
Lakeview,
I gotta start writing this thing bigger.
Lakeview?
I have a 60, no, Lakeview's
Lake-
for we did Lakeview.
Lake-
Lakeview's under contract already. Yeah, this was for the micro thin overlay was 16 roads, 21 separate segments, and for Cape Seal was eight roads. But it also it includes the roads inside Waveney Park. So
We put that on the website?
yes,
We do.
normally we try not to because if we make a change, but we're at a point where we wouldn't make a change. So yes, I could put it on the website.
Or you can,
In the first
can
year we
couch
ever
it.
paved in 2004, I put it on the list and then I made one road change and I didn't never lived that down for about 5 years.
Well, we notify the roads.
Yeah.
We notify the residents for each road we're going to do.
stuff happens.
Yes, specifically for this work, they actually get a letter because they won't be able to drive on it for about 20 minutes after it's laid
But I
down.
think it's
So
good for the whole town to understand what we're doing to keep up our roads.
That's fine with me. I can certainly do that.
You can hedge it and say like, subject to potential change, given the circumstances.
So how many reclaims are we doing this year? Have we done those?
Zero reclaim.
Oh, isn't Lakeview a reclaim?
Lakeview will be a substantial mill, but it won't be a reclaim. The base itself is in pretty good shape. We're trying to get down through the trenching from the gas line and the transmission line, and then go back from there. So
Harrison will be a repave, not a reclaim.
Harrison, I don't know yet.
It's a
just somebody
mess.
I spoke too soon. Harrison, we'll have to look at when they're all done.
That's being paid for by Aquarian.
Excuse me,
That's being paid for by Aquarian and Eversource Gas.
50-50 split.
What's the
Yes.
timing on the finishing up of Harrison? 'Cause it's-
Harrison said that at the end of May, early June, they should be done. Then we're gonna let it sit for a little bit, just because we want to take a look at it, and then we'll come back in again, hopefully by summertime.
Right,
And take
right.
care of it. That one's tied in. Harrison's work is tied in with the work that's on Millport Avenue. The contractor would like to do both Millport and Harrison at the exact same time. So we have to do the sidewalk on Millport. The materials for Millport won't be, the granite materials won't be here until mid-July. Then they'll do the sidewalk and then we can pave after that. So
To be clear, Harrison is the installation of a water main that has nothing to do with New Canaan, other than the fact that we're in the way, right?
water transmission line. And other than that, we're between Wilton
We're in the way.
and Greenwich.
Right.
And
Yes.
where does it go next? South Avenue, or are they going to do the Wilton stretch?
They're gonna go back and do the stretch in New Canaan from Valley Road, the town line, to Little Brook. Then they'll do the stretch in Little Brook in the middle of the summer.
This summer.
So we can pave that. And then next year they'll come and do South Avenue. And in between those two, they'll jump back to Wilton and start working in Wilton again. They only got through about 20% of Wilton's project last year.
Any further questions about the crack seal, micro thin overlay, or Cape Seal?
Just a quick one. So
Sure.
Indus, about 1.2 or so million for the contract. Is that about what we paid last year to them? And
Very close.
Does that make them their largest vendor to the
No.
town through?
So Our largest vendor?
Yeah.
It's close. I would say probably FGB is probably the largest vendor. It's
Mhm.
close right now. They're both at around 1 million too.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Okay,
I would say that it's close.
okay.
But in the past, this has been approximately where we are. In the million and a half dollar range for crack seal, micro thin overlay and Cape seal.
And our surrounding towns, do they use Indus about as much as we do, or?
Yes, some of them do, some of them don't. The majority of them do. Some don't. Now you're getting into philosophy. So some don't perform micro thin overlay or Cape seals. They'll just mill and pave or reclaim and pave, and they'll disregard the pavement curve. We don't do that because it's less cost effective. So for us to keep our roads in good shape, the cost to do this work at a Cape seal is $9.95 per square yard this year. To do a micro thin overlay is $22 to $26 a square yard. To do a reclaim is around $60 a square yard.
Mhm.
So it's much better to try to do it. And they all have basically the same amount of life expectancy, 10 to 12 years. So the thought is make your road nice and then keep it nice, meaning that you mill and pave it, you reclaim and pave it, and then you perform these measures to keep it and save yourself money. And you're allowed to drive on a good road throughout. So the entire lifespan, you're allowed to, you drive on a good road.
And so you're the one who decides which road is going to be Cape sealed versus milled and paved, et cetera, or do they come in and tell you what to
No,
do?
we decide.
it. Okay.
Myself, Mose, our highwaymen give us feedback. We have an entire listing of our pavement condition index where our roads sit, and we have a pavement management program called Street Scan
Mhm.
that all the data is placed inside there, and then based upon where the PCI is, tells you exactly where you need, what you should be doing, how you
Okay.
should attack it.
So with respect to the PCI,
Yeah.
once you crack seal, overlay, reclaim, it's the same full.
Jumps back to 100 or just
Yeah,
under.
yeah.
Yeah, crack seal gives you nothing. We take no credit for a crack seal. You could theoretically take a 5 to 10 point hit or a plus for a crack seal. We say to be conservative, we'll take no.
So we take no
benefit.
credit for
We
crack
take
seal.
no, even though it's the number one thing you should do, we take no credit for it. So I'm not trying to artificially inflate our PCI. Because while it helps the road base, it doesn't necessarily help rideability. Rideability is one of the things that we
Yep.
get judged upon.
Yep.
So I don't want to artificially inflate the number. So therefore we keep it, we don't take credit for crack sealing. We'll take credit into the PCI for rideability measures.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let me just sequentially move these. I move we approve the request from Public Works to continue a contract with Indus Seal Coating Inc. in the amount of $154,440, which includes 15% contingency. As described by Tiger, the project entails the crack sealing of various roads. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I move we approve the request to Public Works to continue a contract with Indus Seal Coating Inc. in the amount of $702,003, which includes a contingency of 15%. As described by Tiger, the project entails the micro thin overlay of various roads. I moved to second.
Second here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Cape Seal. I moved it. We approve the request of the Department of Public Works to continue a contract with Indus for $255,395 and Seymour Sealing Services for $118,121 plus a joint contingency of $56,027 for the total project cost of $429,543 as described by Tiger. The project entails the Cape sealing process of various roads. Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, Tiger, for all that. And
Thank you.
we have a couple more items with you, four more items.
2 or 3. Yeah, the next is purchase side of granite curbing from Swenson Granite for $24,388. I added a contingency of $1,000 since it's 2 loads that we're getting, so $500 per load for a total of $25,388. We were purchasing from Williams. Williams is now, they're pretty much maxed on their production for the year. So we went to the next local vendor, which is Swenson Granite. We tried to go to North Carolina, which we had purchased from before, but North Carolina and Swenson are both owned by Polycor now. And Polycor is saying that can't purchase from North Carolina when you can purchase from Swenson, since Swenson's in New Hampshire. So this will be for various projects that we have, various sidewalk and paving projects we have in town. About 800 feet of granite, 720 feet of granite, I'm sorry.
So this is New Hampshire granite.
This will be New Hampshire granite. Yeah, the last stuff we were buying was Massachusetts.
Okay.
I don't know if I like
The
better than
granite
New
state?
Hampshire
How
granite.
about Connecticut granite?
Not really much around. Yeah, I don't like buying the New Hampshire one because I love the White Mountains. So every single time I buy granite, it's a piece that's leaving. So
Questions about granite?
None here.
Okay, I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with.
Wait a minute, I do have a question.
sure.
This,
It's that, but it
Why?
doesn't have a slight buzz on it. Our plows, if you don't hit it, it won't hurt your car.
I lost it. I lost a tire.
If you don't hit it,
You don't hit it, it won't hurt your car. If you hit a catch.
We-
basin, you damage your
You
car.
can't just put a,
We looked at the buzz. The buzz was an extra $2 a foot, which was substantial to cut the top edge off of it. We discussed that at one point in time, and the previous administration said, don't do it. So but one season,
Previous to
one
Kevin?
season, it'll be gone. What? Yeah.
previous to Kevin.
Yes. The one season with our plows will take care of it. And
okay.
that sharp edge will be gone.
Got it. Got it.
seriously?
Pretty
The
much.
plows actually,
The plows use it as an edge and it starts to wear itself away. Yeah.
all right. I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Sven. Did I already move this? Since fencing granite in the amount of 24,388 plus a contingency of $1,000 to purchase granite as described by Tiger from New Hampshire to replace granite curbing as required. Second,
Second here.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay.
you. You want to come up? Yeah. So
I've been wondering why you're here.
this is
Because I just
That's
missed your
right.
face.
Now I know.
Yeah. So this next, I'm joined by Jen Allison, our health director. This next project is approval of a contract with Hussey Brothers Excavating for 16,475. I added a 15% contingency of $2,500 for a total of 18,975. This is for the Nature Center for the remediation of the community gardens. We recently had the gardens tested, and unfortunately, they came in with lead levels that were elevated, so that they were no longer be allowed to be utilized for a community garden. They weren't to the point where they needed to be removed or they needed to be permanently capped. The direction from the health department was that we can close the area, place a filter fabric over the top of it, and then 2 inches of stone, and then reutilize the area for other purposes. Whether we put in elevated beds at that point in time, beds that would be on a table where they could then garden off of that, or utilize the area for gathering space or other programming space for the nature center. But we can't necessarily dig into the soil, so we've got to cap the area and move forward from there.
So we've got a lot of questions.
Yep. It's okay.
Why did we decide to test when we
We
tested?
didn't. One of the gardeners decided to test in the old garden area. And because they were testing for just, what normal gardeners do.
pH.
And that's where the lead came back the initial round. So when Tiger and I went out there to meet with Bill Flynn and our environmental consultant, we ended up, at my direction, wanting all the testing done. And then we also said, each individual plot, because those gardens are individual plots. So what happens is when you come back, say there's elevated levels, of course, the natural instinct's going to be, well, what's the level in my
Right,
plot?
right.
So we've now done extensive testing, including the children's garden. And just to clarify, none of this is part of the licensed daycare area, but I did notify the Office of Early Child Care as soon as this happened. Out of transparency, I did notify the state health department out of transparency. We did several Zooms with the board. We did it with the gardeners and drafted a letter to all the parents.
So this came up because the gardener
Yes.
just decided, now he or she does this on a regular basis, or this is the first time, or what's the history of?
We don't know, but we wound up performing 55 separate tests throughout the area so that we knew exactly what lead levels were throughout. And these are from the areas that were in the community gardens, from the greenhouses that had been part of the parcel when we took over the parcel, when they had been removed or when they had been, demolished.
Do we know the history of that land site in terms of?
Well,
what could it cost?
The whole property has a lead management plan. All those buildings have lead in them. And as part of the state health department requirements for a licensed daycare, they have a management plan that they have an environmental consultant comes every year. He knows which items have to be checked. In this case, because it's not part of the daycare, but it used to be an old greenhouse, we're not really that shocked to find it. But to clarify, it's not the greenhouse area that we just took down a couple of years ago.
Right,
This is ancient, and lead doesn't leave the soil.
right.
And it doesn't, magically, it's not naturally occurring either. So normally in a residential house, which we also have on that property with Bill Flynn, it's along the drip line of the house, because that's where the bare soil is, and then the water coming down and the paint leaching into the soil. So in this case, you can't have any bare soil. Part of remediation is you can do sod, you can do wood chips, you can do stone. We didn't, mulch is never a good idea because it washes away too easily. And, the thought here is we put down sod, someone after we're long gone is going to come along and redig in that area all over again, where, again, it's still put on their file. They still know exactly where everything is. But this way with this, the gardeners won't dig into anything.
Right.
How many plots are we talking about? How many little small gardens have the size of the space that is subject to this contamination?
Each area on here, there's 8 areas, but then we had testing in each single plot. So to make sure that so everyone can have the levels that they have. I mean, luckily with adults, even though this was in vegetables, adults don't tend to put their hands in their mouth. That's how children get it.
Yeah.
But we are cognizant of, Bill's kid that lives on, the campus. And luckily, because there's different regulations for everything. There's regulations for the daycare, there's regulations for residential, but there's no child under 6 in residence. The child's over 6, otherwise it'd be different. But we are still doing the remediation at Bill's house too, where a couple were found elevated.
Even if you didn't have children, which obviously is a huge concern, but anybody who was gardening there for how many years? Is there any?
I recommend it to all of them. Normally with adults, it flushes through your system faster.
Okay.
And again, you're not tending to put your hands in your mouth. With children, they're always touching everything, putting their hands in their mouth, and it bioaccumulates in their body.
I see.
I did on that Zoom call with all the gardeners, I did recommend it's a simple blood test they can get at their doctor to find out if they have elevated blood lead levels. The herb garden, no one ate the herbs. They just, I guess, grew the herbs. Just that's what they told us anyway.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, because they still wanted to use the area and we explained you can't. You
Right.
can't be digging into soil.
Right,
And
there was-
there's 40 other acres too.
It looks like there was 16 separate community plots, but I don't, on the map, but that's the nature center manages that portion.
And to go one step further, because Tiger's mulch pile was used, for some of it. So we wanted to rule out the mulch pile. So we actually tested our own mulch pile and that was completely clean, so that was a good relief to us. And we really are only in that area. And we did make it clear to the governors and nature center, no bringing in any fill from anywhere else, and see what happened in Fairfield. We don't want any of that.
So the moral of the story is don't garden and put your hand in your mouth afterwards.
Don't test.
Don't say that.
Next to a 1930s, 1940s greenhouse. Yeah, that's the problem, is what it was painted with, and then the glass.
Please tell me that we're not testing at Waveney.
No
Yeah,
need,
yeah.
no need. So what this will do is we'll provide a clean slate for the area, a protected clean slate so that anyone visiting the area or utilizing it won't have any issue. And given the fact that there's a separation between the material, the fabric base, they'll know that if you touch the fabric, anything below the fabric, you shouldn't dig below that. You shouldn't be digging at all, but
It will be added to their campus management
Right.
plan as an area. So that way, if the stone does wear away over the years, they have to maintain that cover.
Okay, any further questions?
None here.
I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Hussey Brothers Excavating for 16,475 plus a contingency of 2,500 for the removal and disposal of existing lead containing
it's not a
material.
removal. There's
I'm
no,
sorry, what did I
nothing
say?
leaving the site. Everything will stay there.
Tails the, well, that's what you said.
This says removal.
What does it say? No, it says no soils will be removed from the site.
The project entails the removal and proper disposal of existing lead.
Oh, existing wood from the raised beds, spreading and grading of the existing soils, no soils are.
I didn't write the
removed from site.
agenda.
And then placement of a filter fabric on top of the soil and the entire area is capped with minimum of 2 inches of stone.
That's a long motion, but anyway, that's what we're approving. Any second, do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you for that wonderful discussion.
Thank you.
Let's go on to tree warden.
Tree
I'm sorry,
warden.
let's pick up the item about the
Sure.
ADA at the bleacher ramps.
So this next is an approval with a contract with Hussey Advantage, no relation to Hussey Brothers. There are bleacher consultant and contractor for $16,600. This is part of a Sourcewell contract. That's a nationwide bid that goes out. We had them take a look at the bleachers at Water Tower Turf 1, and the ramping structures there are non-compliant. That came forward as part of our review, our facilities review with the DOJ. They're supposed to be at a 1 in 12. They're at a 1 in 10 or a 1 in 10.5. We think that some of that had to do with settlement of the structure into the asphalt base that's around it. Regardless, Hussey Advantage will come in and make them compliant for the 16,600. So it'll be a slight adjustment, and then we'll modify any areas around it that need to be modified at that time, and we'll be able to address this concern.
Is this ADA?
This is.
Okay.
Yeah, this is one of their concerns. They came in and you wouldn't necessarily recognize it unless you actually came out there and put a smart level on it and noticed that it was a 1 in 10.5 versus a 1 in 12. Like I said, I think that it's settled over time. If you look, the feet of the bleachers are settling into the ground. I think that's, so the adjustment was necessary. And now that we have Hussey on, John has been instrumental in getting Hussey Advantage on as a bleacher consultant and working through all of our bleachers. I think that, concerns like this will be addressed the moment that they arise.
Thank you, Tiger.
You're welcome.
So this ramp is like what we added at the paddle courts.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, it's all part of a whole system, but
Right,
yes,
right.
it's almost the exact same system.
Any questions? I move we approve this request from Public Works to enter into a contract with Hussey Advantage for 16,600 for the modification of the slope of the ramps at Water Tower Turf Field number 1 bleachers as described by Tiger. Second,
Second here.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
That brings us to the tree warden.
This last one is the tree warden went out for a bid for work at the nature center. Olmsted Tree and Shrub Care came back at 15,600. They've done great work for us in the past. We'd like to go forward with that contract. There's about 30 trees that were marked. I did a review with our tree warden. We took a drive around and a walk through, and we marked approximately 30 trees. The nature center came back with a couple of others of areas where they want to, they're looking to put in a pavilion. So they had 2 or 3 more trees that they wanted to have removed. We'll have that added. Once we'll ask for a separate price for those and have that added as well. Should be a nominal cost at that time.
Questions?
Nope.
I move to approve the request from the tree warden to enter into a contract with Olmsted Tree and Shrub in the amount of 15,600 for the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town. as described by Tiger. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you, Tiger. That was a busy morning. Good morning, Cheryl, and
Okay, I am here to present Sean Goodjohn to the Board of Selectmen as a full-time animal control officer. We had 53 applicants. We interviewed 5. We brought 3. We invited 3 back to do a presentation that Mary Ann had given them, an example of an incident in town with an animal, and we have chosen Sean. He has worked for the town of East Haven, city of Waterbury, and town of East Haven. He had started at as an animal control officer, and I think he will be a great addition. The police are doing a full background, and we are looking to have him start in June.
he's assistant to Allison, or
Allison will be leaving,
right?
so he'll train with her for a month, and then she will be retiring.
Retiring. And then you want to,
And then next, nope, actually not you yet.
Oh, I'll sit behind you.
Todd. You're next. We would like to present Matt Fusaro. We had 62 applicants, interviewed 12, and Matt rose right to the top. He currently works for Interstate and Lakewood Lumber, Rings End. He has his forklift certification. We do believe he'll be a great addition, and he will be starting within the next 2 weeks. Todd, I don't
any questions about either of these?
None here. Yep.
I move we approve the request from Human Resources to hire Sean. Got it, John?
Yep.
As a full-time animal control officer for the police department, and Matt Fusaro as groundsman too for parks.
Correct.
All questions? Or no, second,
Second here.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Wait, I think Kathleen did.
Yeah, I just had one question going forward. It's the season now for seasonal workers. And I was wondering, when do you expect to come forward to the Board of Selectmen for that approval?
I don't expect us to, so we can talk about that.
We can talk about it when. Okay, so just as you
Not
know,
today, yeah.
the Board of Selectmen approved full-time, part-time, and seasonal workers, not temporary workers. So as we've done in the past, if you'd be kind enough to bring the seasonal workers, I assume that's getting very close to, I beg your pardon? That's for John. Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. So if you can just remind John
I will.
that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you're good. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Todd. Contracts under 10,000.
No, we actually have Victor probation.
Oh, Victor, yes. Okay, Chris.
So-
that's it. Sorry about that.
Poor Victor.
You got to be fast, Chris. But we want to talk about Victor because Victor's doing a great job for us.
So Victor is a team player. The staff enjoys working with him. He has been a great addition to our IT team, and we would like to remove him from probation.
Sounds like a good plan.
Chris, do you want to say something about Victor?
Yeah, Victor's done a phenomenal job. He's really picked up a lot of slack. Not afraid to get in and get dirty and to resolve some of the things that were left behind from the previous. And works very well with everyone.
Great.
Staff loves him.
He came from the Board of Education.
And he's very happy to be here.
We won't hold that against him. It was a joke. I'm just.
We did for
kidding.
6 months.
Great experience, though. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Full time on board.
So I move we approve the request from Human Resources to remove Victor Almarell from probationary status. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Victor. Congratulations. All right.
Gotcha now, sucker.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to contracts under $10,000. Any questions?
None here.
Overpayments of taxes. There was one real estate and a couple automobile.
Are you moving that?
Well, do you have any questions about them?
don't.
Otherwise, I move we approve the refunds of the tax overpayments on our tablets.
Second here.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Legal fees. I move we approve the legal fees on our tablets.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That brings us to selectmen's comments. The only comment I'd like to make is as we we had the unfortunate passing of a valued longtime 35-year employee in the police department. 2 weeks ago, we had a beautiful funeral mass on Friday at St. A's with almost all the police department there. It's quite impressive. And we want to extend our, and Fred Tiani Sr. is the father of Fred Tiani Jr. in the highway department. And I'd just like to express our condolences and prayers for the entire Tiani family. So.
I share that. And I do know also that people are heading to another loss in our town. So well, I'll keep this brief. And regarding the Utilities Commission, we have a number of candidates who have expressed interest, and we're trying to set up interviews. I got a couple for you today, Nick, and just hoping that we can do that. I know that you've sent an email to me saying that you would rather have it go through the process, but we've got people who are unaffiliated.
I would like to invite
independents.
unaffiliated
Yeah.
residents, because we've appointed more unaffiliated
Yeah.
people
So
to the
they're
boards
ready.
and commissions than anybody in history. So so anybody who's unaffiliated, otherwise I plan to work with the Republican Town Committee, and you should work with the Democratic Town
Well, we're
Committee
working with both.
to
committees.
recruit qualified candidates.
Now, there's some candidates that did not come through the town committees, but
Well,
We
if
welcome-
they're
I'm gonna-
Republican, they have to go to the,
I don't
Town
know that
committee.
that's required, but I will certainly offer them that opportunity. And so I've reached out to John Chris, and the DTC has also already brought forward one of the candidates. So that's already happening, but we're also getting a number that are unaffiliated, and we actually have one independent.
well,
So.
I talked to the town attorney yesterday. I said, you need to talk to Nick Bamonte about the process here. We have serious, we have significant FOIA issues in terms of how we're going to proceed on this.
Well,
So
that's exactly why
Right.
I created every meeting. as
I'm
a
sorry,
separate
significant what
meeting, so
issues, Kev?
FOIA.
Oh, for it.
That's why every meeting, every interview will be separate. So
Right.
certainly aware of the FOIA issues, but I'll call Nick.
I don't think you understand the FOIA issues as to how we proceed.
Okay, I'll call Nick
Yeah.
and we'll get that straightened out
Yeah.
because it's going to happen quickly, and we have about 45 days after the town council approves it. So that's why we're moving to give you an opportunity, all of us an opportunity to meet with the candidates. So thrilled with the response so far. So
It's really been overwhelming.
Yeah.
The outreach that we've had. And it's been them to us, not
yes,
us searching.
yes.
It's really been great.
Okay.
Okay, I
That's all
move
I
we
have.
approve it. We adjourn at 9:39. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
So I'll call Nick.
Yeah, you got to talk to Nick.
I will call Nick. Yep. And then we'll